Medieval monks discovered something about bread that modern science tried to hide for 60 years. Your grandmother's bread took 18 hours to make. Your supermarket loaf? Just 2 hours. And those missing 16 hours are the reason why 65% of people today can't digest bread without pain, bloating, and stomach issues that didn't exist 100 years ago. Because in those lost hours, something critical was happening inside the dough. Medieval bakers were using invisible allies to neutralize a toxic compound that modern bread still contains, a compound that's slowly damaging your intestines with every bite. Today we're going back to the 1200s because the answer to why bread makes you sick isn't in a modern pharmacy. It's been buried in medieval monasteries this entire time. France, 1287. A baker is locked in a wooden cage hanging above the town square. Crowds throw rotten vegetables at him. Children mock him. His wife weeps in the corner. His crime? He sold bread that hadn't fermented long enough. Sounds extreme for just bread, right? But here's what you don't understand. In medieval times, bread wasn't just food. It was survival itself. A working peasant consumed 3 pounds of bread every single day. That was 80% of their entire nutrition. When a baker rushed production, when he cut the waiting time to save money, he wasn't just selling bad bread. He was selling digestive disaster. That bread would sit in people's stomachs like wet cement. Workers couldn't function. Villages got sick. The entire economy depended on proper bread. That's why European kingdoms created strict bread laws with severe consequences. In England, the assize of bread in 1266. In France, similar regulations. Break them, and you'd be dragged through streets, locked in public cages, or banned from baking forever. But to avoid this punishment, to ensure their bread was actually digestible, medieval bakers needed something strange, something that today would be thrown in the garbage as contaminated waste. Every morning before sunrise, they'd walk to the local monastery or brewery and ask for a bucket of disgusting brown foam. On top of every beer barrel sat a thick layer of bubbling sludge, brown, foamy, smelling like fermented grain and yeast. Medieval people called it God's gift, or barm. If you saw this substance today sitting on top of liquid, you'd assume something went wrong. You'd pour it down the drain and sanitize everything. But medieval bakers treated this foam like treasure. They'd carefully scoop it into wooden buckets. In cold months, they wanted it warm and active. In summer, they'd let it cool. You could see the foam moving, alive, breathing. They'd carry it back and dump it directly into their flour and water. No measurements, no hygiene protocols, just living, raw foam mixed straight into bread dough. Why? Because hidden inside that disgusting foam were trillions of wild yeast cells and beneficial bacteria called lactobacillus. The yeast made the bread rise. That part is obvious. But the lactobacillus bacteria were doing something far more important. Something those medieval bakers never knew was happening, but something that kept entire populations healthy. They were destroying a natural poison hidden inside every wheat grain. A poison your body cannot digest. A poison that's still in your bread today. So what was this poison the bacteria were fighting? It's called phytic acid, and wheat is packed with it. Here's why it exists. Wheat is a seed, and seeds don't want to be eaten. They want to survive, germinate, and become plants. So nature gave them a defense mechanism. Phytic acid acts like a nutrient shield. When you eat wheat, this compound binds to essential minerals, iron, zinc, calcium, magnesium, and locks them away. Your digestive system can't access them. So even if you're eating healthy food, phytic acid is secretly stealing nutrition from your body. And here's the real problem. Your stomach has no way to break down phytic acid. You don't have the enzymes. It passes through you completely intact, taking nutrients with it. But lactobacillus bacteria do have the power to destroy it. During 12 to 24 hours of slow fermentation, these bacteria produce enzymes and acids that slowly dismantle phytic acid molecule by molecule. By the time medieval bread went into the oven, the poison was neutralized. The nutrients were freed. Now look at factory bread today. Total production time, 90 minutes, sometimes less. The bacteria don't even have time to begin their work, let alone finish it. So when you eat modern bread, phytic acid is still fully active, still binding minerals, still blocking nutrition, still irritating your intestinal lining. Medieval peasants ate pre-digested bread. We're eating nutritional landmines. The only difference? Time. But bacteria weren't the only secret. Walk into any medieval bakery and you'd see a massive wooden trough, deep, scarred, stained dark from generations of use. Some were 70 to 80 years old, passed from grandfather to father to son. By modern health standards, that trough would be illegal. Look at those cracks. Look at that discoloration. That's a bacteria breeding ground. Shut it down immediately. But those cracks weren't dangerous. They were essential. Because living inside that aged wood was a colony of beneficial microorganisms. Scientists today call it a biofilm. Every time the baker kneaded dough in that trough, the wood transferred good bacteria directly into the bread. The trough wasn't just a tool, it was a living ingredient. Medieval bakers never sanitized these troughs. They scraped them clean, yes, but they never killed the bacteria. And that's exactly what made the bread digestible. If you ran your fingers across that wood, you'd feel smooth grooves worn by thousands of kneading sessions. The grain would be darkened where dough had been pressed into it year after year. The wood had memory. It remembered every culture, every strain of beneficial bacteria that had lived in its surface for decades. Now, walk into a modern bakery. Stainless steel everywhere. Sanitizer stations, everything sterilized between batches. We've created environments so clean that nothing can survive, not even the helpful organisms that used to pre-digest our food before we ate it. We won the war against germs, but we lost an invisible workforce that protected our digestion for centuries. But even perfect bacteria and living wood weren't enough. You needed the right grain, and medieval grain would shock you. Most peasants didn't eat pure wheat bread. They ate maslin, a mixture of wheat and rye grown together in the same field, harvested together, milled together, baked together. This wasn't laziness. This was survival insurance. If weather destroyed the wheat, rye would survive. If disease hit the rye, wheat would carry the harvest. You never lost everything. During the Great Famine of 1315 to 1322, endless summer rains rotted wheat crops across Europe. Entire fields turned to mud. But rye survived the wet conditions. Farmers who planted maslin lost half their crop but harvested the rest. Farmers who planted only wheat lost everything. Starvation killed millions. The survivors were those who mixed their grains. Maslin was literally the difference between life and death. But mixing wheat and rye did something else medieval farmers never understood. Rye is enzymatically powerful. It ferments faster and stronger than wheat. By adding rye, medieval bakers guaranteed aggressive fermentation. The rye acted like an accelerator for the bacteria. More fermentation equals more phytic acid breakdown, equals more gluten breakdown, equals better digestion. Now look at modern wheat. In the 1960s, scientists created dwarf wheat. Short, high yield, designed for factory harvesting, not human digestion. And we stopped mixing grains entirely. Pure wheat. Every time. So modern bread lost the rye's enzymatic power, lost the mixed grain resilience, lost the fermentation boost. We didn't just change the recipe. We removed the natural amplifier that made medieval fermentation work. But losing grain diversity was just the beginning. Because in 1961, everything collapsed. The year bread was murdered. British scientists gathered in Chorleywood, England. Their mission: solve the problem that had plagued bakers for millennia. Fermentation takes too long. 24 hours from flour to finished loaf was unacceptable. Too slow, too expensive. So they invented a machine that would destroy bread forever. The Chorleywood bread process uses industrial mixers so violent they don't knead dough, they beat it into submission. Under extreme pressure, these mixers force gas into dough in minutes instead of hours. Add chemical dough improvers, extra yeast and hydrogenated fats, and you can skip fermentation entirely. From raw flour to plastic-wrapped loaf in 2.5 hours. Not 24, not 12, 2.5. When factories adopted this process, profits exploded. They could use cheaper, lower-protein wheat that traditional bakers couldn't work with. They could produce 10,000 loaves per hour instead of 500. In the UK, Chorleywood bread captured 80% of the market within a decade. But there was a hidden cost. Medieval bread was naturally acidic. The bacteria produced lactic acid during fermentation. That acid prevented mold growth. Medieval loaves could last weeks without spoiling. Chorleywood bread? No fermentation means no acid. Mold loves it. So the industry added chemical preservatives. Calcium propionate to kill mold, emulsifiers to fake softness, bleaching agents to make it white. We replaced 24 hours of biology with a chemical cocktail. This is the pattern everywhere. Natural immunity replaced with pills, gut bacteria replaced with probiotic supplements. Fermentation preservation replaced with chemicals. They destroyed the biological system, then sold you a pharmaceutical Band-Aid. Your great-great-grandmother's bread had probiotics built in. Now you're buying probiotic pills to fix gut damage caused by bread that eliminated the probiotics. We saved time, but we destroyed the food. Right now, the same companies that killed bread in 1961 are selling you sourdough for $8 a loaf. They see you searching for gut-healthy bread and traditional sourdough. They know you're trying to be healthy, so they slap sourdough on the label, charge triple, and hope you don't read the ingredients. But here's the trick. They're still using the exact same Chorleywood process. Same 2-hour timeline, same chemical yeast, same violent mixers. The only difference? They add vinegar to the dough. That's it. Vinegar creates sour taste. Your tongue thinks it fermented, but it didn't. It's just flavored. The phytic acid is still there. The gluten is still intact. The bacteria never existed. You're paying $8 for chemically flavored factory bread with deceptive labeling. Want to know if you've been scammed? Check your bread right now. If the ingredients list contains yeast, it's fake. If you see vinegar or acetic acid, it's fake. Real sourdough has exactly 3 ingredients: flour, water, salt. That's all. Anything else? You're paying premium prices for industrial garbage with good marketing. But here's the good news. You don't need them. And you don't need a medieval monastery or ancient wooden trough. Because the core method medieval bakers used is simpler than you think and still works today. Here's what they did, and what you can do this weekend. Forget expensive equipment. Forget precision thermometers. Forget complicated schedules. Medieval bakers made sourdough with 3 things: rye flour, water, and their hands. Step 1. Mix rye flour and water into a firm dough ball about the size of a tennis ball. Doesn't need to be perfect, just firm enough to hold shape. Step 2. Bury that ball deep inside a container of flour. The flour keeps it dark, cool, and protected. Step 3. Wait 12 to 24 hours. When you dig it out, it should smell fruity and slightly alcoholic. That smell is bacteria at work. That's the fermentation that breaks down phytic acid. Step 4. Dissolve that fermented ball in warm water. Use that cloudy liquid to start your bread dough. Step 5. Before baking, pinch off a small piece of dough. Roll it into a ball. Bury it again for next time. What to expect? After your first try, it might smell strange, like acetone or feet. That's normal. Bacteria are competing for dominance. Keep going. After 3 to 5 days, the smell should shift to pleasantly sour and fruity. If it smells like rotting garbage, throw it out and start fresh. But 90% of the time, it works. After 2 weeks, your starter is established. It'll smell consistent. Bread will rise reliably. You can keep this culture alive for years. Some families have starters that are 50+ years old. Don't refrigerate your starter until it's at least 2 weeks old. Medieval bakers kept them at room temperature. Cold storage weakens young cultures. If you mess up, start again. Flour is cheap. Your gut health isn't. That's it. That's the entire process medieval peasants used to feed Europe for 800 years. No thermometers, no precision, just flour, water, time, and bacteria that have been waiting in the air for you to give them a chance. And here's what makes this different from that $8 fake sourdough. This actually works. The bacteria get 12 to 24 hours to break down phytic acid. The gluten gets pre-digested. Your body can process it. Bread isn't the enemy. Rushed bread is. The solution to your gut problems isn't in a doctor's office or a supplement bottle. It's been sitting in the 13th century, waiting for you to slow down. If you want more forgotten methods the modern world buried, subscribe to Medieval Pathway. We're uncovering techniques that actually worked, the ones the food industry doesn't want you remembering. And if this made you angry about what they've done to our food, share this. Send it to someone who thinks they're gluten intolerant. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're just intolerant to modern shortcuts. See you in the next one.